how I grew up, I was always the one at home that braided everyone's hair. So I was the girl that did like, you know, everyone's hair. Because I I was the creative person. I didn't understand, but I enjoyed that. And so I've sort of carried on. But like I said, I do love the fringe. I do love the look. Since I last met you, I absolutely love it.
I used to cut my roommates, and then I used to cut their like fringe and things like that. And kind of like word spread that I could do stuff like
there you
this.
go.
And I was doing it here.
Yeah, then you also get into doing people's nails at school, and you're the girl who kind of does that.
That's not me.
Okay, that's
it
fine.
Literally
No,
stops at just that.
At the hair.
That's all I'm good.
Dana, so good to have you again.
Thank you.
Last time we had so welcome, so great. I was really excited to hear you're coming through. So last time we had a quick conversation, but now we've got more time and it's not so hot. So I thought we could take some time to talk about your life, our lives, and you as a self-taught photographer, which is always like the highlight, self-taught.
Self-taught. I always wonder whether to leave that in there or not, because a lot of photographers are self-taught.
I know.
Yeah. So.
Tell me about how that happened, though.
It was literally just passion, interest, actually. I would say. I don't even know I could call it passion until later. But yeah, it was just something. My dad had a camera.
That's right.
He works in insurance, and they used to give him a camera to go and take pictures of like properties and things like that. And I would see that camera lying around, and I started messing with it. And it was back in the day, it was Polaroids.
Yeah,
then
nice.
They gave him a new upgrade, and it was like those floppy disks where you could put the whole floppy disk inside the camera, and that was your memory card. And I was always playing around with it. And then later on, when I was 15, I saved up all this money and bought my first camera, which was a Sony point and shoot. I loved it. I was obsessed with it. I realized I wanted more, so I sold that one, bought a new one.
So at that time, how were you developing your images?
At that point, there were memory cards.
Okay.
By the time I bought my first camera, there was a memory card for it. I wasn't editing or anything.
Yeah.
It was literally just taking them. I actually don't even remember putting it on a computer until much later. My parents bought me a laptop, and that's when I really started doing stuff, but actually not editing, just getting them onto a computer, and then that was it.
Have you ever had experience in do we call it the black room, the dark room? Dark room.
No.
Oh my
God. Not there yet. Hopefully one day, but
Are they still there?
They are. People film photography is really making a comeback. People developing their images, and but I know I'm sure it's a lot more trickier.
But it's a really special experience. I studied a bit of photography, and I had to go into the dark room to do that. It's a really special experience when you see the photograph coming out. No, that in itself is just really
amazing.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and I feel like those types of photos have more depth and feeling to them.
Yeah.
Rather than digital art.
No, I hear you. But this all started in San Diego.
Yes, I was born and raised in San Diego.
Yeah, and there was life there with your big family.
Tiny little family, just me, my brother, and my parents in the same house.
Yeah.
My grandparents and my mom's side of the family were not far, but 2 hours, but still like far enough where we didn't see them all the time.
Yeah.
So yeah, we were just a small little unit of just the four of us. Yeah. Nuclear, exactly. Yeah. I think it was nice. It was cute, like that it was just the four of us.
And again, how did your parents move to the States?
My mom had immigrated from the UK.
Right.
And then she met my dad, who's from Zambia.
Exactly. And how did he end up in the States?
They were introduced. They had a love marriage or arranged marriage.
Yes. We still love those, by the way.
Yeah, it's worked for them. I mean, they're celebrating some crazy number of years together. Yeah, they were introduced. through mutual families and friends, and then they got married and they settled there. That was the idea. Yeah.
Okay. And then talking of arranged marriage, like do you know a number of friends your generation that have been arranged?
Not in the same sense like
or
my
not
parents
in the same
were.
way.
Not in the same
not
way.
Not that obvious.
Yeah, like here you go. No, it was more. Now I think it's more introduced. You have not that you didn't have a choice, but it's like you are introduced to this person because of mutual families and friends, and then they can say yes. This is something. But there is a dating period. I like to think now, like where people figure out whether they like each other. Before, I think my mom met my dad one day, and then the next day she was engaged.
And look what we have.
They're happy.
Yeah, exactly.
My mom always says you learn to love them after you get married.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I've heard. I still find it a very fascinating episode or part of life or culture. I think it's still fascinating.
Yeah.
And the fact that it still works is really incredible.
I'm sure parts of the world still do it.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah. I'm sure people in Hollywood would...
Not everybody's like on the Tinder and...
Yeah, exactly.
Is that even a thing anymore? I don't know.
Tinder. It is. Yeah. But no, there's so many... there's so many other
dating apps.
Yeah, then there's even... there's some really scary ones.
Yeah.
Really scary.
All those shows we see on Netflix.
Yeah, stay away. Yeah, so tell me then you met your husband?
Yeah, I came here for a wedding, a family wedding.
But you'd also studied in the States, obviously.
Yes, I was born and raised there. I did my high school.
And then what did you study?
I went on to university and I studied public health.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Public health.
Someone was hoping you'd be like
my dad,
doctor?
My dad wanted me to be not really a doctor, but he was like a pharmacist. Yeah, somewhere safe and air conditioned. And I was like, and the white coat looked so nice, right? And
so you're just on the brink.
I was like, I'm sorry, this is not for me. I did do public health, which I found very interesting, which probably is the only thing that got me through and got the degree, but I'm not practicing any of it. So
that camera was at the back of your mind and always with you.
I did apply to the school as an art major though.
Right.
Which is what I wanted to do. And he did tell me like, what are you going to do with that? So what? What are you going to do?
Did your father say that?
My dad said, think practically. And I was like, okay,
no, for sure.
And when you're young like that, you really want to make the right choice.
Yeah. I wanted to study fine art when I was...
Wow. I would be like you, yes.
I wanted to study fine art. So now I'm a 16-year-old. I want to do it for my A-levels. I kind of did a history of art. That's how I got away with it. Then I wanted to do it as a degree. Mm-hmm. I come home and they're like, look, we're really open-minded.
Yeah. But
look at us. Yeah. No.
It's a no.
No. Look around you. Find something else.
Yeah.
So I had to go back and think of something else. But it still came back in different ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you didn't think it doesn't leave you.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
So you did but you didn't do a major. What did you do your major in, or you?
That was my major. Public health was my major.
Okay.
Yeah, but I took electives that were always artistic.
There you go. That's okay.
So I took a film class where we just watched movies all day and analyzed them. And I actually, when I was in elementary school, the school that I went to as a child from kindergarten to grade 6, which is about the same here as primary. It was actually an arts academy, so their emphasis was on arts,
right?
Rather than math, science, and things.
Yeah,
like that.
And I think
it was a good school, so my parents were like, even though its emphasis is on the arts, it's still a good school, so we would like you to go there. So I went there, and I really think that my appreciation for art came from that school. They studied math. We did math and science and everything, but we would have dance classes, music classes, art classes. We'd have performances. And then I think mixed with my interest and personality, it was like...
Look, the personality also has something, a lot to do with it. You know, there's some professions where if you don't know how to communicate with people, there's some professions where you just stay in the back room and you're really good at that.
Yeah.
But a profession like yours really requires you to be interpersonal, and you need to be able to communicate with people.
And how to do that.
And how to do that.
Yeah.
But I do also think that a number of these, the school line of education has changed and it's becoming much more holistic like that, where the arts are as important as the sciences, as the maths. Yeah. But more so it's about making sure, I think schools are now making sure that person or that student is happy and they bring out the most in them, whether it's wanting to do guitar, or you like science even. Yeah. So I think that we're moving forward in that
100%.
way. Yeah. Even here, I mean, very much here, the schools are moving forward in that area.
I see that.
So then tell me, then you came to Zambia for a wedding.
Yeah, I came for a wedding and I met my husband. Yeah. Obviously, I didn't know he would be my husband. But he was also in the States at the time. So we dated for some time. He did tell me he planned on moving back to Zambia. And I was like, yeah, Zambia seems nice. It was always like the States would always be there if I wanted to go back. Yeah. That would always be there. That is where I'm from. So we came to Zambia and we tried it out. And
did you bring your camera when you came for the wedding?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
I did have a camera.
Yeah.
We went to Livingston during that time, and we went to South Luangwa. And on those trips, I did take pictures. I'm sure I even have them.
How did you move into that line of photography?
So after I moved here, it was really... It really felt like I did not know anything. Like I didn't understand the currency. I didn't understand the way of life. I didn't understand how I was going to fit into Zambia. Me being who I was over there, it was almost like every layer of how I identified myself was like stripped away. It was almost like I was starting over. I didn't know how to drive here. I didn't know many people here. Yeah. So it was a very, I guess, difficult way to come. Like I didn't have any reason other than I'm married, and then that was it. And that's kind of how I identified myself, as my husband's wife. And that's kind of like how I saw myself. And it was like a new chapter in my life. And in our culture generally, like that is how it is. Like you adopt the family and their way of life. And that came with it. So it was also like there were so many shifting things. So I think when I moved here, I was kind of lost a little bit. I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know how to do anything. So I
remember you talking about the ShopRite experience.
Yeah, I went to ShopRite and it was just... I was even like scared to go to ShopRite because I just didn't know how to like navigate through anything. My mother-in-law told me to go and get rape, and everything was just there. And I know it's like, there weren't labels, and I was like, what's what here? So I asked the guy that was filling the shelves, like, which one is the rape? And he was like, where have you come from that you don't know this? But yeah, those types of experiences, I haven't forgotten them. Yeah. Yeah. It actually, me removing myself from everything I knew and being in Zambia actually taught me a lot about myself. Yes, and I became more confident as myself than I can probably say that I was in the
Because
States.
you had to start learning about yourself.
Who am I? What do I believe in?
What do I like?
What do I like?
What do I not like?
What do I not like? Exactly. Those sorts of things.
So what did you not like?
When I moved?
Yes.
I did not... Mostly the things that I didn't like were the fact that I felt like I didn't know anything. Because I felt like that restricted me in doing anything. I was afraid to do things. I wasn't sure, and I didn't know how to do it. How am I going to make friends of my own? How am I going to do something for myself? So yeah, I guess that was probably the reason why I did not like it, was because I didn't feel like I knew who I was when I was here.
So when you started taking
The pictures.
your pictures, was that the beginning of, or part of the journey of beginning to understand yourself or know yourself again, but also beginning to love and learn about Zambia?
100%. They came at the same time. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're
You're curious about something.
Yeah.
Or you find something beautiful, or you're questioning it, and you take it out in photography.
Yes. And understanding, like, what is my fear? What am I scared of? How far can I push myself? Photography in Zambia specifically has helped me discover that, hands down. I've learned to be able to speak to people. I've been able to learn about myself and say, like, okay, this is my boundary, like, and say that this is not what I want to do, or this is what I want to do, or this is how far I can push myself to do something.
But also look at your experience. You're taking, we were talking about it earlier, and you're taking pictures in a very public space.
Yes.
Where now you have to, first of all, also learning to be with people and communicate with people. You're taking pictures.
And how is it being recepted? Like, I may be there and I may know my interest and what I'm doing, but the people in that area may not.
Exactly.
And how does my presence make them feel? So there was a bit of me understanding. I've always been very cautious and very ethical. I try to be as ethical as possible. Zambia and Lusaka is a small place. People can't identify people. So I still try, if I do take any street photos, to conceal people's identities.
And I think it's just being about respectful.
Yeah.
You're respectful. You've learned to be, you know how to be respectful of the photographs and the people in the people or items or thing, whatever, subjects. Let me say subjects. And I think that really comes out, because you feel like where was she when she took this? Like you.
It was a game at one point. I remember people would win like 50 kwacha if they could guess where I shot the image, which was, somebody was like, they're making games out of your photos. So I was like, I did not know that, but I hope the winner gets it right.
Because it really is a beetle in the air, not a flower on the wall.
Yeah.
You feel like you're a beetle in the corner of the room somewhere.
Yeah.
And it's just stunning.
I distinctly remember a gentleman sending me a message one day and saying thank you for taking the pictures, because he was born and raised in Zambia and he never noticed the jacarandas. And his daughter on the way to school was like, Daddy, look, those are the photos. Those are the trees in those photos. And he was like, they're everywhere. And they like line the roads. They make it look beautiful.
Yeah.
And he was like, thank you for like making me appreciate things that were right in front of me that I never saw. So
and actually that's the other thing. It's things that we
see all the time.
We see them all the time.
Yeah.
But when you bring them out in such a, you question yourself and like,
is this? Yeah.
People
would be like, this is photoshopped. And I was like, no, I'm not that skilled. I can't do that.
Like I used to drive there, but I never felt that color, that purple.
Even the way the road, some of them, they turn like this. You wouldn't notice that the road swerves like that and that it's still covered by trees.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's beautiful.
Yeah. And of course, we always see somebody on a bicycle.
Always at the wheelbarrow.
We always see somebody with a wheelbarrow.
Yeah, I love them.
But half the time our mind's not there.
No.
So your pictures just bring us back as well.
Take a pause, hopefully.
Yeah, take a pause. Yeah. Love that.
I think at one point I would post quite frequently in the beginning about of street photos, and I would not write the name of the streets, and people would even kind of get annoyed with me that I was not writing them. Like, why are you not writing them? You should be writing them. And then I realized there's a reason why I'm not writing them, because I want you to stop. I want you to look around. I want you to absorb what's happening around us, and I want you to pay attention and realize in all this chaos, it's beautiful. It is so beautiful. And because of the fact that I left it out of the captions and things like that, you saw that people were looking.
Even looking deeper.
Even looking, and then they would even try and retake the images on their phone and be like, this is the road. And it was such a fun time. I'm so proud of those moments in my life.
So you then started to you take the photographs, go out with an agenda, with no agenda.
No agenda at all.
And then just start posting them.
Yeah, I started posting.
And then?
I was approached by Discover Zambia.
Yes.
To be a part of their takeover. And I was up against some really cool, talented, experienced photographers. I did not care. I was just happy that they asked me. I was like, this is so fun. And I didn't even really care to win. I was just honored to be on it, and to be given an opportunity like that. And yeah, on the second day, it started on a Monday morning, and you're supposed to post 2 photos a day, one in the morning, one in the afternoons.
That you've taken,
that day. Yeah, anything. It could have been of anything that you feel represents Zambia. Mm-hmm. And by the second day, by Tuesday afternoon, I remember sitting on the couch and telling my mother-in-law, like, I think I might have won this thing. And there were still a lot of people left. But in my heart, I had this feeling that people are resonating with what I'm taking. And so, yeah, they announced the winner. I was in San Diego, actually, when they called me to tell me that I had won. And actually, Nkwazi Magazine sent me a message soon after, and they were like, we'd like to publish your work in one of the magazines. And I was like, yeah. I was like, this is crazy. I was very honored. I still have the magazines on my desk.
Nice. And then that's awesome. And they also won something with The Guardian. You won an award?
No, I did shoot for The Guardian. They came here and they did a story on kids with sickle cell at UTH. So my photos were published with them. Yeah, a lot of cool opportunities that I think there's so many that I can't even remember them anymore. Yeah,
because and then it started rolling.
Yeah, it just steamrolled.
So where did you now go to now printing?
That was the next thing.
Yeah.
A lot of queries came about buying prints and things like that, and I kind of felt like I was putting out a fire that like I hadn't planned for that. Yeah. I was still just 1 minute I was taking pictures of streets and just posting them, and that was it, and that's where it ended. And then next thing you know, people were wanting to buy stuff and buy the prints. So yeah, I sourced a printer, something that could be international, because the queries were coming from not only Zambia, but they were coming from all over the place. So I realized...
You put us on the map again.
Yeah. And I realized that, okay, I need to find something where I can send it out.
Yeah, no.
So yeah, I started selling prints. My work was, I had an exhibition with Chana Art Gallery at Bonanza for 2 years. I did that. And then in those same 2 years, I started getting more like client work for shooting different clients, whether it was families, weddings, branding shoots, name it.
I know. And now, are you still carrying on with that? Are you still doing a lot of street, or is it?
It's
changed.
I've moved away from it a lot. I actually once was even commissioned to shoot some street photography, and I found it very hard.
Why?
It felt like it was disingenuous because I was being told to shoot this, that, and the other. In the same way I had shot my original street photography, and it just didn't feel like it was coming from the same place when I was taking those street photographies in the beginning. And I also sometimes think that knowing the impact that they had affects me now. Knowing that this street photo can make this much of an impact, it weighs on me now. 1, it has to be amazing. 2, I feel like it's more calculated now because I know what the outcome can be, and I feel like that's inauthentic.
So what's not calculated now for you? What kind of work is not calculated?
What kind of work? A lot of the client work when it comes to weddings and things that involve emotion, whether it's a family shoot or like I guess weddings evoke a lot of emotion. You see people crying, happy, in love, people getting together after a long time. So that is that's not very calculated.
You can't predict.
No, you can't predict how the day is going to go. And generally, I do still think that I shoot very in a documentary sort of style, where I'm out of the way.
Yes.
And I just let things transpire.
And you go alone. You photograph alone.
Yes, I do.
With your backpack, and there she is.
Yeah, just
Sneakers.
like a little girl with a backpack.
Yeah.
You would not know that I'm the photographer, and that's kind of how I like it.
Yeah.
I don't like the pressure of someone knowing that they're being recorded or taken a photo of. I like it to just naturally unfold, and then I'm just there to capture it.
So that's also comes from where it's the same spirit of how you
shot the streets.
Yeah.
Out of the way.
Beetle.
Yeah. In the as discreet as possible.
Yeah.
I actually have a funny story that one time once the photos were around and people kind of recognized me, I was one time shooting a sunset, and somebody was driving by, and he rolled down the window and he shouted, "Dana Patel!" And I was like, there goes my shot, for one. Two, this random person has identified me, so what's going to happen next?
This is why you need to get wigs.
Yeah.
You know?
No. So that is my style, is to be out of the way. Yeah. And I like to keep it that way.
Tell me a little bit about your family, your son and your husband, if you can
yes.
reveal a little bit. Obviously, your son's 7.
He's 7.
You've been here now, what? You've done
12 years.
12 years and married 12 years next week, which is amazing.
Yes.
Tell me what that looks like as a family.
Yeah. I don't think that I could do what I'm doing without them, without their support and understanding. I give them so much credit. One, for me to be out of the house and not always be available, somebody has to pick up after whatever I'm not doing, and my husband does an excellent job of doing that in his own way. But I give him so much credit for allowing me to be go do what you want to do. Don't worry about the house. Don't worry about dinner. Sometimes these weddings, they run really late.
Yes.
And I have a tendency to not eat at weddings because the minute I sit down to eat, somebody will be like, "Can I get a photo?" So I eat before I go, and then I eat when I go home. And he will make sure that there's dinner waiting for me at home, which is really sweet. My son was very young when I started this whole thing. So in the beginning, I don't think he understood what I was doing. He was too small to understand. But now he's 7. He fully comprehends that I'm going to sit down for an interview and they're going to ask me about my work. And he understands that there's an importance to it, and he understands that it's important to me. Yeah. So, that's really important. For me, I think that's huge. He could not care about my interests, but he cares that it makes me happy. So, in one of his Lego sets, he had a little camera. So he came and gave that to me. He's like, "Look, Mommy, like yours." And I said, "Yes."
Does he have a camera?
He had one. And then I saw that he was getting a bit reckless with it, taking pictures of us when we were coming out of the shower, that sort of thing. So I said, "We are done with the camera. We'll wait for a few years." And
you said he's at school.
He goes to school. I try and do my best of just being around when he's off school. Of course, there's the times where I can't be there, but he's very happy when I'm not there because it means he goes to my in-laws' house and they spoil him.
Of course.
So much. I'm like, he doesn't need the ginger ale.
Grandparents will spoil wherever they can. Yes. They always will.
So he's happy, and I think also time apart is important. If I was always there, I can go crazy, he can go crazy. Yeah. So, but I'm there enough. Yeah.
No, that's really beautiful. And do you see, you're not sure where you are, well, at the moment you're just enjoying what you're doing and you've gotten onto this new line, but is there something peeking at the back of your mind of, I've really got an ambition to do this? Is there something bubbling?
I would like to do more photography for myself again. I think I would say last year I was just swimming in doing photos for other people.
Commercial.
Client work, and I felt like it was doing an injustice. It was making me like not want to pick up the camera. So I told myself this year that I would manage my time and my interest for photography more. So not take on so much and make time for what I want to do.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a crazy amount of time. It can just be a Sunday walk in the evening or something like that. And in that moment, I take the camera instead of leaving it behind. So I'm trying to do it a bit more.
Yeah, we talked earlier
and I know
about
that people generally like that.
Yeah.
They like to see those photos.
Yeah. Traditional ceremonies?
I've done some. I've done a Chilanga
Mulilo.
Yeah. It was very hot. It was very, very hot that day, and I was like,
yeah,
this is a lot, but it was beautiful. It was very beautiful. I thought it was very fun to take pictures of.
They're amazing.
Other than it being very hot that day.
Yeah, but also not just the Zambian ceremonies.
Yeah, Indian.
There are so many
different types.
Indian. Every country culture has a ceremony, and
exactly.
I personally enjoy being part of them and seeing them.
Yeah.
But those would be like really delicious things to start soaking up.
In doing so many, because Zambia's actually got so many different types of people.
Exactly. It was so diverse.
It's so diverse.
Yeah.
I have been able to shoot all sorts of different cultures, religious events. And it's made me more informed. I actually am more aware of like how different families, even though they might be the same ethnicity, the way they might do things are different, and observing people's rules, like, and things that you're not supposed to do, what you're supposed to wear, what you're not supposed to wear.
So you're not going to a Chilanga Mulilo in a pair of shorts?
No. I was told to wear, something long, and then I was even given a chitenge.
Yeah.
And I had a girl who was like, could see that I was struggling to keep it on, and she was like, don't worry, you do your job of taking the pictures, I will come and fix you every now and then. And I was like, thank you.
Oh, nice. Those are all beautiful moments, and all about being, here. I always tell people how lucky we are to be in Zambia. It's just the most incredible country in terms of, like you say, diversity, culture. Doesn't matter what color you are. Doesn't matter what religion you lean towards.
Yeah.
It's somewhere where you can live peacefully, happily, actually.
Yeah.
And people are respectful. Of
100%.
whoever you are.
Yes.
Just love that. I'm going to ask you a little bit about what you're reading at the moment, and also any photographer that you're following at the moment.
Okay.
Because photographers must follow. Readers follow readers, right?
Yes.
Photographers must follow photographers. Architects follow architects.
Yeah, true.
So who are you following?
I follow a lot of photographers. Not so much that I want to be like them, but I'm inspired by what they do.
And also let's inspire. I was going to say trending, but inspiring.
Gosh, I forget his name, but I know off the top of my head, there's a gentleman who is, I think, from Cape Town. His name is Dan Carter, and his work is just
what does he take
so
images?
Simple. It's mostly editorial work that he does. Okay. And I find it so beautiful because there's like a hint of African influence in there, but his work is simple but beautiful. I if anybody wants to look it up, his name is Dan Carter. There are lots of photographers.
But that's also what we're saying about your work, though. Because the original or the inspirational, creative vibe came from simple moments.
Yes. Yeah, that's probably why I like his work. Because it's simple. It's not fabricated in any way, like not too manipulated to look a certain way. And it looks real, like the colors look real. And I guess, you can say that about my work as well. I try not to, my editing process is very nominal, actually.
Right.
But I do but mostly you can tell it's me.
Yeah.
Even through a nominal edit, even though I'm not doing it.
You obviously had to learn how to do that over time as well.
Yes, and I think it develops over time.
Yeah.
I also think that the editing can change based on where you are in life. Like if you look at like,
so it's got its own creativity.
It has its own flow. Yeah. I'm a bit more knowledgeable now because I'm behind the computer a lot.
Yeah.
It still looks like me, but I can tell that it's evolved. I can tell that it looks different. I can tell that in this moment in life, there was a lot of oranges and things like that. If you look at my my personal stuff right now, for some reason, there's a lot of yellow and green. I don't know what's going on, but I only notice after I see the work.
So interesting. Yeah. And then when you look back and like,
everything was red in this time in my life. And I don't know what that is attributed to, but I think it's just that's how I was feeling in that moment.
It's definitely the artistic in you, the artist in you. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of subconscious stuff.
Yeah, exactly. When did you decide to print in black and white or color?
I still think color is what I gravitate to because I think that's what brings out the life in my pictures. Black and white, I've not printed many photos in black and white unless people have asked for it.
Right.
Because I feel like the colors is what makes it the picture. I also think that the colors in the photos are a reflection of my personality. Yes, maybe to the person I look a bit more muted, but like my personality is generally quite bubbly and like happy-go-lucky.
This is when we get to talking about the videos.
That's my real. That is my.
Are you still?
Yes, I still dance all the time. It is.
I keep saying when we have these conversations, we have to have music.
Yeah. Yes, I think it adds to it.
So tell me about the dancing.
I actually grew up dancing. So I did tap and jazz classes and performances mixed with my school performances since I was a very small kid. Then I went on to do like Hindi film dancing for like talent shows and things like that. And then I did dance.
Were you really like with the thing? With the
number.
And then the number. There'll be a number. It's Dana Patel.
No, it was that was more like group dances. In college, I was a part of a dance team. I was even the captain, and we won like national competitions in dance. And so dancing, it's just like different variations of dance. After I moved to Zambia, I learned a bit more Afrobeat. Yeah. I wouldn't say I'm a piano stuff. I like the music, but I don't think I'm that good at it. But yeah, more Afrobeat. And
so when do you dance?
All the time. It's like all the time. I don't think.
So would this be like, had a long day, camera down, I'm gonna hit it?
No, more so like if I'm cooking or if I see some sort of dance that looks really fun and I would like to learn it, I will do it then. But I'm not the person that goes out like in the evenings and goes dancing like.
So a friend of mine asked me, that's really cool. So for now. So a friend of mine asked me, she's new to the country, and she goes, I need to go and dance.
Yeah.
I said, there's, I named a couple of clubs, there you go. She goes, no, dance. Like I want to be like hitting the, what do we call it? The house. I want house music and I want to house it out.
Yeah.
Where do I go? I'm like,
Latitude.
Do they play house? Like where you can really, like a house party?
Yeah. I think they play house music there.
Like
Fridays. Like the lights and.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Where it's a consistent.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think so.
Okay.
I wouldn't know. Entirely.
Because you're dancing at home, you wouldn't know.
Yeah, I'm very fine just dancing alone in my house.
Do you dance with your son?
Yes, all the time. We've got like dancing videos together. I see it in him that he has an appreciation for music and art and creative things. His coloring is his drawings.
It's interesting how you can see that. So you can see it early.
Yes.
Yeah.
That it's there.
Yeah.
He is calculated. he likes building and construction and things like that. But I can see that there's a creative side to him. For some reason, he likes old school rap, like West Coast rap, like Snoop Dogg and Warren G and those types of artists. And I'm like, you're a little bit small for this, but I like that he appreciates it.
Interestingly,
He likes Kendrick Lamar's TV Off. What? I was like, okay.
Interestingly, I've been seeing that the teens are playing 80s and 90s, and they're playing like
the old style.
Old style.
Well, that's good music.
R&B.
That is good
because
music.
it is good music.
Yeah. And it's still that's when you know the artist has done something right, when it can relate to everyone and everyone generationally over time. That's why some artists are great. Yeah. And
they remain great.
They remain great because it just keeps.
Yeah. I was listening to oldies on my way here. And again, it still
makes you feel something.
Wow, just, and it just sticks.
Exactly.
And I was trying not to like wriggle in the car, but I was like, okay.
I wriggle. I actually, some of the street vendors even, I listen to a lot of like Yo Maps and things. And so they must be able to hear it from the outside. And they'll like dance from the outside, and I'll even dance with them.
Miss Patel!
And then I continue, light turns green and I go.
Yeah. Does your husband dance with you guys?
No, he more so just watches us, and he's like,
you do your thing.
Let's stick to time. It's still bedtime. I'm like, okay, it's time.
Life goes on.
Yeah. One day I was playing music while my son was in the shower, and he was in the shower, and I was playing music, and my husband was like, "Why music? He needs to go to bed. He has school." And I was like, "Oh yeah." So. Yeah. My husband does keep the sense of responsibility. I think it does come.
I think music in a home just brings warmth and bonding.
Yes.
It
adds feeling to an empty space.
It adds warmth.
Yeah.
And when you come from a family of dancing or music, it just warms you, and
100%.
And of course you then also feel free to
be who you are.
Yeah, be who you are. There's some homes where you just know there's always going to be
music. Yeah,
in there.
I had some friends over, and I played this. It's called lo-fi dinner music. They were like, "Oh." I was like, "It's a dinner party. We're gonna have dinner music. Yeah. Like, we're not gonna sit here in silence. And it's not a dancing party, so I'm not gonna play that music either."
No, I just think
for
it's
the right occasion you play certain music. Yeah,
but there's just always music. I love that. Just even the minute you walk in, you just feel like you've settled in and feel loved and
100%.
free. Actually,
exactly.
You feel free.
That's art.
I need to.
It?
Yes.
Yeah.
I need to join you on
Please
have a session.
What's it like at home?
Yeah, no, for sure. So now also let me take you to a little bit about. Talked about where you are right now, which I absolutely love. Talked about your hair.
I do get asked a lot about it. What are you using? I'm like, shampoo and conditioner.
Shampoo. It's a big thing.
Yeah.
Because hair really is a big thing for
I understand completely.
For everybody.
For everybody. If my hair looks off, I feel off.
Yeah. For everybody. Your parents, let me just go back to that and then sort of close there, but they're still in the States. Mm-hmm. But you do see them because you go over, and you say they
started coming here. Yeah. Love it. They love it. My mom loves it. She finds it to be peaceful and just nice. And it is like you can step out and see people. In the States, it can feel very lonely. So I understand why she likes it here, because there's so many people that we know just by going to ShopRite. You can run into so many people. Yeah. And she loves it. They really love it. So I always tell them, come here. It's more fun.
No, it really is. And you are an example of what Zambia can be and can bring out in people, I think, I'd like to say.
It really comes down to perspective, I think. Yeah. If you see it negatively, it will be negative.
Yes.
It can be a very negative experience.
Yeah.
No matter where you go, you can go to the nicest country, to the nicest place, but if your mindset and your perspective is negative, you'll never enjoy it.
That's very true.
So it really, I think, depends on your appreciation for things, how you perceive things, and yeah, that's what can make you a lot happier, to be honest.
Totally agree with that. I totally agree with that. I've loved having you, and I hope you've enjoyed the conversation.
Yes, I did.
I can't wait to dance with you.
You'll find me one day. I want to come out one day.
Thanks, Dana.
Thank you so much.
Okay.